What made these monsters attack humans non-stop? Just then, Jin-Woo remembered the silver soldiers who had driven the monsters away. There were so many of them, and they all seemed to have the same fiery hatred burning inside. What if those soldiers were real? Would they be on our side? After all, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right. Jin-Woo watched his sister for a moment longer before closing the door. Later that evening, he said, "Thanks for dinner, Mom," and headed to the gym at the Hunters Association to work out after eating. Having Baru by his side was super handy, especially on days when his mind felt like a tornado of thoughts. When he's overwhelmed, working out is always his go-to move to clear his head. He hadn't really sweated in ages, so this was long overdue. "Baru, let's get moving," Jin-Woo called out. Baru popped up instantly, looking sharp as always. While Jin-Woo stretched, Baru knelt down and bowed his head respectfully. "My king," he said softly. Out of all the shadow soldiers in Jin-Woo's army, Baru was the only one who could handle his full strength. That made him the perfect sparring partner, and a big help when Jin-Woo needed to blow off some steam. Even Baru flinched, feeling how much Jin-Woo's power had surged. "Congrats, my king," he said with a grin. "I can tell you've gotten way stronger." The black heart was pouring out so much magic that it gave Baru chills, and he couldn't stop shaking. But Jin-Woo hadn't called his soldier just to show off his new strength. Jin-Woo motioned for Baru to stand up. Baru looked confused because Jin-Woo's face showed a worried expression he had never seen before since joining the Shadow Army. "Hey, you need to attack me with all your might," Jin-Woo said in a whisper. "My king, how could I ever do that?" Baru asked hesitantly. "Don't worry, it's okay," Jin-Woo replied. "I really need a good workout, and you're the only one who can help me out." Baru seemed about to thank him but then stopped when Jin-Woo shot him a suspicious look as he started to kneel down. "Your vocabulary is improving," Jin-Woo said with a smirk. "You didn't need a human somewhere, did you?" Baru took a step back so Jin-Woo dropped it. He tightened his fists and repeated his order. "Do your worst. It shall be as you command." "Your Majesty." Baru raised his head and extended his sharp claws. "Scrutatubisa." He fully unsheathed his talons, knowing they wouldn't hurt Jin-Woo anyway. The hunter grinned, clearly satisfied, and nodded once. "Scray." With a deafening roar that shook the entire gym, Baru pounced at him. Baru was slammed to the floor, lying flat on his back. Baru had lost every single one of his 12-7 battles. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't even land a hit on Jin-Woo. In just a few days since they last met, Jin-Woo had become super strong. Baru's respect for his king's power and loyalty grew even more. He struggled to sit up as Jin-Woo flopped down beside him. Sweat dripped down his master's face, but that was as far as the ant could go. Any more, and the gym might have collapsed around them. Jin-Woo sat quietly on the floor, staring off into space. Baru slowly got up on his knees. "My king, something's wrong, isn't it?" he asked gently. "Wrong," Jin-Woo replied without looking up. "We share a part of our minds with you, my king," Baru explained softly. "Seeing you upset really gets to us," Baru said, his voice soft with concern. Jin-Woo couldn't help but chuckle here. He was being comforted by a shadow soldier who used to be an insect. Normally Jin-Woo would just shrug it off, but this time was different. "There's something on my mind," Jin-Woo admitted, "but I'm not sure where to start." Japan's troubles weren't exactly his problem, and the dangers there were still unclear. Yet, here he was, thinking about taking the leap. He couldn't tackle all the world's problems alone. Plus, dealing with the tense relationship between the Hunters Association of Korea and the Hunters Association of Japan was giving him a headache. Then Baru suddenly sat up straight. "My king." Jin-Woo jumped in surprise. This was the first time he'd seen Baru so fired up since becoming a shadow soldier. "Nothing should ever stand in the king's way," Baru said firmly, sounding more like a trusted friend than a magical creature turned shadow soldier. "Whoever does what they want is a true king. That's why I told you. I'm not a king," Jin-Woo said. The title Shadow Monarchs wasn't something he chose for himself. It was just a name the system gave him. But Baru didn't agree. "With all due respect, my king, you have the power to do anything you want." Jin-Woo's eyes widened in surprise. For some reason his heart started racing at Baru's words. "You're definitely a king," Baru said again. Jin-Woo couldn't calm down. He stared straight ahead, his eyes turning cold and sharp like steel. The next day, The United States released an official statement about what was happening in Japan. Then President Go announced Korea's position on the situation. Korea will not interfere with Japan's affairs, he said. Cameras flashed wildly. Kumshak. 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 President Go then explained how Japanese hunters planned to stop the raid on Jeju Island. The evidence was super clear and couldn't be denied. A security video showed Shigeru Matsumoto, head of Japan's Hunter Association, yelling at President Go and revealing his shady plans. This shocked everyone, especially Japanese reporters who were counting on Korea to step in and help. But after seeing this, they felt totally let down. The cameras they were holding fell slowly to their sides as the weight of the moment settled in. Just moments earlier, the Americans had refused to help, and now came another shock from the Koreans. This harsh truth was almost too much to bear. Tears began to well up in their eyes as President Go finished his speech with those few words. That is all I have. Normally, after such an important announcement, the room would be filled with questions. But now, every reporter was left speechless by the stunning revelations, unable to find the words to express what they were feeling. The press room fell silent as the live broadcast aired across the nation. Everyone was shocked because Korea had stayed quiet about the terrible events happening in their neighboring country. President Go seemed ready to leave but turned around and dropped a bombshell. This is entirely up to the Hunters Association. We won't hold back any hunters who decide to act. His words left everyone wondering what did he mean by that. The reporters slowly came back to life, like bears waking up from a long winter's nap, as they tried to make sense of President Go's words. There's one hunter brave enough to challenge the giants, he said. Who could that be? Who would dare go to Japan alone in such a tough situation? The room erupted into chaos. Even the Japanese reporters who had been crying lifted their cameras again. Please, please, they urged. A new wave of hope swept through everyone. A Korean reporter shot his hand up high, and President Go nodded to him. The reporter rushed forward like he was afraid he'd miss his chance to ask a question. Just who is this hunter? President Go stood there for a moment, catching everyone's attention. Then he leaned in close to the microphone. Hunter Jin-Woo Sung, he said. Suddenly, cameras started clicking furiously. Click, click, click. The room filled with bright flashes of light as reporters clamored to get a shot.